All right, guys, we're going to read one chapter to get today for our Wednesday assignment. Just be prepared. You will have a, excuse me, you will have an entry ticket in order to participate in class on Friday. Another thing, you do need to have your camera on in order to participate in class or be participating in the chat box. Um, we are going to try and engage you guys more with discussion questions, prompting you guys for the notes so that Miss Nevin and I are not the only people taking notes or the 5 or so students that are participating. So be prepared for that shift this week. If not, you will be independently working. We will still be doing check-ins with you. However, it is time for you guys to participate in class. So without further ado, let's go. June 23rd, 1944. Okay, so I already marked my notes. So pretty much last time, we know that Misha got a new job at Terrazin. We know that there was a transport. A lot of his friends left. They were supposed to be on the transport. His mom got them off. And we know that they are starting to make the concentration camp look, they're like beautifying it, right? They're trying to make it look nice. Okay. So it's about a month since our last chapter. Let me zoom in for you. All right, June 23rd, 1944. Now, what are you going to say when you receive the cans? Some Jewish man who keeps touching a sore on his cheek asks all of us while we're waiting for the visitors to arrive. Sardines again, Uncle Ram, the line of us said. Louder, he tells us. You're sick of eating sardines every single day, right? Now try again. Sardines again, Uncle Ram. We say, good, good, he says, not looking at all pleased. Much better. I don't want sardines. I hate sardines, Pavel says and stomps his feet like he's about to have a tantrum. Then he cracks up. The man walks over to him. You think this is funny? Not if I actually get some sardines, Pavel says with a big smile on his face. You think Commandant Ram has a sense of humor? Pavel doesn't say anything. Do you? Pavel shrugs his shoulders and grins. The man touches the spot on his cheek, maybe picking at something there. Suddenly he smacks Pavel so hard Pavel nearly falls over. For a few seconds no one does anything until Pavel spits at the man's feet. The man tries to smack him again, but Pavel ducks. Get out of here now, the man shouts, or you'll be sleeping in a small fortress tonight. Don't think I can't arrange it. The small fortress where they sent father. Just hearing it makes my skin crawl. I still don't know exactly what goes on there. All I know is I've never heard of anyone coming back from there. Pavel jogs off. Say hi to Uncle Ram for me, he says to Felix as he passes by. Just then, 4 skinny black cars pull up. The first one stops, and the driver, a stocky SS officer, gets out, walks to the back, and opens the door. A Jew in a dark, fancy suit gets out. A Jew with a chauffeur? Chauffeur? I whisper to Felix. That's Epstein, he whispers back. Epstein? Franta said he replaced Edelstein, the guy who used to be in charge. What happened to Edelstein? No idea, Felix says. Someone slushes us just as I was about to ask. Someone shushes us just as I was about to ask Felix if he thinks Epstein has a black eye or not, because I'm pretty sure he does. Men in suits get out of the other car, along with one other SS officer from the last car. The second SS officer, who has a high forehead and his hair shaved on the sides, walks to the far end of our line, which has maybe 40 kids in it. The man who had us rehearse what to say is standing there very straight, holding a cardboard box in his hands. The SS officer walks over to him, reaches his hand into the box, and pulls out a small stack of tin cans. Sardines, the man with the box says, like he's surprised or something. He looks at us with his eyebrows raised. Sardines again, Uncle Ram, we say, almost in unison. The rest of the adults, who must be from the Red Cross, stand together by the cars. A couple whisper to each other. One stands with his arms crossed. Another writes something down in a small notebook. Will they really believe this whole thing? That Rom gives us sardines? That we'd complain to him? Could they be that stupid? And are these really sardines inside these cans? A minute later, Rom, who smells like too much aftershave, places a can into my outreach hand. I say thank you, but he doesn't say you're welcome. Who cares that we didn't get to keep the sardines? I say to Kinkina, so long as we're getting lunch like this. I look down at my dull metal plate, which has about 3 times as much food on it as normal. Plus, it's real food: mashed potatoes, onions, cucumber salad, and tongue. Too bad the Red Cross doesn't visit every day, Shpalka says, cramming a forkful of mashed potatoes into his mouth. I don't know, Kinkina says. I don't think I could clean our room for that long ever again. That was way too much, even for Franta. Do you think they'll actually buy it? I ask. Buy what? Shkalpa asked. I don't know, I said. Everything. This lunch, those flowers, and just how great everything looks here. Why wouldn't they? Kinkina says. How would they know the difference? Well, I say, they'd find out pretty quick if they actually asked anyone. And do you think the Nazis are going to let that happen? Spalka says. Yeah, right. We eat for a little while longer, no one saying anything. This food tastes pretty amazing, but the whole thing with the Red Cross makes my stomach feel a little weird at the same time. Hey, Spalka says, who are those teachers playing today? The electricians, Kinkina says. Of course, Spalka says, shaking his head. The 2 best teams. So the Red Cross can see how great the soccer is here in lovely Terasinjat. Kinkina sticks his tongue out, which has some tongue on it. We all laugh. When's the game? I ask. I think around 4, Spalka says. Oh man, I say. Gotta go to Brindabar then. Have fun, Kinkina says. Do you think the Red Cross people Do you think that those Red Cross people, do you think that they'll get what the opera is really about? I ask. I doubt it, Kinkina says. If they were smart enough to figure that out, they'd know that this whole visit was a joke, and it wouldn't matter. But so, why are they here in the first place? I ask. No one answers. My food is slowly starting to taste better and worse at the same time for the same reason. And wait, do you think maybe this is why they let us do plays and operas in the first place, even though we can't have school? But we do have school, Sculpa says. No, we don't, I answer back quickly. Didn't you hear? He says. They turned a couple of rooms into a school, only. Where? I ask. I don't know, Spalka says. Over by Hamburg barracks, I think. You're lying, Kinkina says. If you'd let me finish, Spalka says. You'd know I wasn't. My father told me himself. They made a few rooms look like classrooms. But then, get this, they put a sign on the entrance. It said, excuse me. Spalka sticks his hand out front of us and moves it from one side to another. School closed for vacation. The 3 of us laugh, even though I'm not sure it's all that funny. But wait, I say, seriously, maybe that's why they even let us put on operas and plays and music and everything, even though we can't actually have school, so they can show us off, right? Maybe that's why, so people think the Nazis actually care about us. Yeah, Spalka says. And next week they're starting to film a movie here to show the whole world how great this place is. They are? I ask. I was kidding, Spalka says. Oh, I say, even though I wouldn't be surprised if he told me he wasn't kidding after all. No one says anything else. We just go back to chewing our delicious food at the end of the sidewalk that got cleaned so thoroughly on Wednesday that we've been forbidden to walk on it ever since. Today's Brundabar performance, which is at least our 20th by now, is better than usual. Maybe because they have us perform in the Sokol building, which I guess is now supposed to be called the community center, in a huge room that actually has a balcony. I can't tell it if I can't tell if or when the Red Cross visitors came. All I know is that we sing extra loud today, especially at the end. Like maybe they'll somehow get the message then and make the Nazis shut down Terrazin and send us all back to our homes. Of course, after we finish and the applause ends, nothing else happens. It's just like any other performance. Still, I am a little excited because as soon as Frudenfeld, the director, says it's okay, I take off the bashta hoping to catch the end of the game between Franta's team and the electricians. I raced through the camp, past the new playground, past the packed pavilion where the orchestra is warming up, past the neat rows of blue and pink and orange flowers, past wide stretches of actual green grass. The buildings are almost sparkling, they're so clean. I get to the edge of the bashta and quickly run up the stairs. Only when I get to the top do I realize that someone's built a railing along them. There's maybe 20, 25 people up here, none of them much older than me. Darn, I missed the game. I notice Pedro and Zednek Tossig from room 1 and run over to them. Is it over? I ask. Wow, Zednek says. What a match. What do you mean? What happened? Teachers won, 3-2, Pedro says. Franta was amazing. You should have seen it. A couple of times he jumped straight out to the side. I swear, he was completely parallel to the ground. And still, he was able to catch the ball, or at least punch it away. He's not scared of anything. I bet he'll play pro someday. A few minutes later, we've got our own match going. Everyone seems to be in pretty good moods, even Zednek and the rest of the kids from room 1. We play around an hour and only stop because April is coming up. If it was like this all the time, Pudlina says, kicking the ball ahead as we head back to L417, I wouldn't mind staying here. I wouldn't. But what if I was staying here means transports sometimes still happen sometimes, I ask. Doesn't matter, Hina says, kicking the ball away from Pudlina, because the Americans are already in France. We'll be back in Prague in no time. Speak for yourself, Irich says. I'm going back to Brno. Prague is stupid. I mean, how can a city that big have such lousy teams? What are you talking about, I say. But no one seems to care, since the rest of the guys are fighting over the ball about 10 feet from me. I decided to get in there myself. So I hurry over and kick the ball extra hard, just as it squirts out towards me. It flies into the air, bounces off a tree, and sails over a brick wall. Way to go, Misha, Pudlina says. Now go get it. Isn't that the Verchlabi barracks? Kinkina asks. I think so, Hina says. Kinkina shakes his head and shivers a bit. What? I ask. What does that mean? Come on, go get it, Pudlina says. April starts soon. I want to say no, but I guess it was my fault. And this is the best ball that we've had in months. Okay, I say. But someone's going to need me help get over the wall. A minute later, Felix and Irich are holding the bottom of my shoes and complaining that I weigh a ton. Just a bit higher, I tell them. Finally, I reach the top of the wall and pull myself up. It actually feels good in my arms to pull like this. Maybe the tongue gave me a little extra strength or something. I drop down as a bad sour smell hits me. Then I look up. I'm inside a courtyard I've never been in before. Lying everywhere on stained sheets or just one on the dry, dirty ground are sick people, most of them very old, all of them incredibly thin. I don't know if it's some weird light or something, but they all look kind of yellow, except for the red spots and rashes all over their body. The ball is just sitting there, resting between two of them, and they don't even seem to notice. For a few seconds, I think about telling everyone I couldn't find it, but instead I walk over. The smell, which is pee, and something much worse than pee, grows stronger with each step. I hold my breath and pick up the ball. Even though I'm trying to look away, I accidentally make eye contact with an old man. His eyes are both silver or gray, and I sort of get the feeling he doesn't actually see me. His teeth are so yellow, they're nearly brown. Bruno, he says. I stand there for a few seconds trying to figure out what happened to his eyes. Bruno, is that you? But I don't answer him. Just kick the ball back over. Then I grab a rickety wooden chair resting on its side in the middle of nowhere, bring it up to the wall, and hurry to the other side. Hey, I say a minute later, do you think the Red Cross is still here? Nah, Kinkina says. My older brother told me they already left. Why? But I don't say anything. No one seems to notice that I'm walking so slowly that I fall behind the rest of the group. As L417 comes into view, I hear the orchestra starting up again, playing something familiar. I guess I must have heard it once or twice on the radio back home, when we'd sit in the living room after dinner, my parents drinking tea, and me asking for just one more cookie. All right. Make sure you're going into your novel study notebooks and taking notes. All right. Make sure you are jumping over to your novel study notebook. Make sure you're taking notes, summarizing it, just that short chapter. And then make sure you're answering these 3 questions. Who is visiting Terrazin? What do they make the kids say they have been eating this whole time? Describe the place the ball was when Misha kicked it over the wall. Vrchlabi Barracks. What was it like? What did he smell? All right. Be prepared. Make sure you do this today or tomorrow, just before Friday. Okay. There's no excuse. If you need to listen to it again to take notes, go ahead and do it.